Hey, hey, hey.
Welcome to Best Practices Unveiled. I am your host, Annette Eberhart, and this is a judgment-free zone. This space was created just for you for open, honest, and thought-provoking conversations. Here, our guests speak freely, our stories run deep, and together we uncover the practices that help shape our lives and strengthen communities. This is where transformation begins. So lean in, tap in, and get ready to evolve because the next level starts right here.
That's a good one. Hey, hey, hey. Welcome
Hey.
back to Best Practices Unveiled. I'm so glad you're here today. We've got an important conversation lined up with Shannon Estrin, who brings lots of experience to the work of behavior health, inclusion, and supporting families. We're going to talk about parenting, children's emotions, the role of schools, and even how food can affect behavior. So, this is a judgment free zone conversation for anyone raising, teaching, or even caring for children. So, let's get into it. So, thank you so much, Shannon, for being here today. Before we dive into this meaningful conversation, please share your backstory.
My name is Shannon Estrin. I am a currently a mental health clinician, former special ed teacher. I originated from California, born and raised. I currently live here in Georgia. Um, and I do many of things. I'm a full-time author. I work with adults and kids that have different superpowers. But my backstory of what Miss Annette is speaking about, and most people don't know, I was born in preemie. I was 1 pound 8 ounces. I was fully blind with a 10% chance of living. And the doctors told my mom if I was to live by the age of 5, I would be physically and mentally disabled. But I'm a believer that God had, plans for me and gave me a second chance at life to show these babies and show these kids and adults that they don't have a disability or a label. They have a superpower and a gift. It just takes a patient person to bring that gift out of you. So I know my purpose and my passion is to work with kids and adults that have different inabilities, that learn different, look different, and sound different. I want to be the voice for the ones that aren't vocal. I want to be the eyes and the visions for the ones who need their lens sawn through, and I want to be the ears for the ones who need help hearing.
Wow, that's powerful. I love that. I love that backstory
Yes, ma'am.
because you can see how you are so passionate about your work because it's personal.
It is, yeah. I tell people all the time, if you're gonna get into any field, but into the ECE space or education space, mental health space, you're not doing it for the money. You have to be passionate. You have to love what you do. We deal with so much in so many walks of life, so many people, so many individuals, so many different personalities that sometimes we don't take the time to realize that we're actually changing lives. We're actually shifting mindsets. We're inspiring households, inspiring future leaders of America. Um, and that starts with, the younger child. It starts with at the adolescent age. It starts with child care centers. It starts with parents knowing and building routine within their home as well.
Yes, I agree. I agree. As an early educator, um, we know that parents are children's, you know, first teachers. And sometimes if we lack the understanding as parents,
Yeah,
then it's hard for us to provide that foundational, you know, teaching experience for our children.
I agree.
Yeah, I think it's so important to provide that educational piece for parents and educators constantly
Mhm.
because things are changing, our society is changing, and we have to learn how to integrate information and best practices so that we
Yeah,
can support our children.
I wholeheartedly agree. A lot of times we get parents that were taught unhealthy learned behavior, so now they're passing that down to their children. not knowing that trauma is passed down in a form of learning. Trauma is passed down in a form of behavior. So we have to retrain the adults' minds to now reprogram their behavior styles so that they can teach their kids the proper way instead of what they knew. Where we as educators and we as the EC providers have to be able to adapt and modify certain things so that the parents can understand it so that they can be on the same page as us with their children.
Yes, I agree. And that takes me right into the mental health piece today.
Okay.
Um, Families are facing pressures that are different than what we've experienced in the past. And like we
Hmm.
just said, we know we can't stay in the past, but just in the past, I know, like when I was growing up in the 70s and 80s, we didn't talk about mental health. That wasn't
Hmm.
something that was talked about in the household. You may have had Uncle Joe or somebody, that was a little
Right.
different, and that's just Uncle Joe, but
Yeah.
I think that, in our culture as well, we didn't want the labels
Hmm.
and
Hmm.
things like
Hmm.
that. So we really
Yeah.
didn't deal with talk about, anything when it came to um, mental health. And I think that nowadays we see so much of it is so present with, early, we got children, killing other children, their peers, their
Yeah.
parents,
Yeah.
even with the bullying piece. I mean, I know when we were younger, we may have pushed other kids, pull their hair, do,
Hmm.
little crazy stuff or call them
Yeah.
names. You talked about how they dressed, not really realizing how impactful that was.
How it affects that kid, because now in 2025 we have the highest suicide rate when it comes to children, not adults necessarily, but we're talking about babies, kids. That we have the highest suicide rate since COVID-19
Wow. Yeah.
because of bullies. Because, and I say it all the time, one of my favorite comedians, his name is Louis Belt from Oakland, California. He said that these kids are being raised by IG instead of OGs. They're being raised by social media, being raised by what you see in music videos and
Yes.
media and movies, and not by older people, parents, grandparents, elderly. People fear the streets more than they fear their parents. And that's where
Oh,
we go wrong. It's not that, yeah, you don't want your kid to fear you, but you want them to build some fear, because when there's fear, there's respect and there's love. When there's not fear, children do whatever they want to do. And people, when I talk, I'm like, oh well, you know, you're speaking from a middle school or high school standpoint. No, no, no. These young children I worked with, these adults that I worked with, were once adolescents. They were once childcare kids. They were once the younger children. All younger children grow up to be older. So therefore,
right.
we have to. They start off at the toddler age. They start off at 1, 2, and 3. That's the age they start off at. And if they're not learning now, they're going to move into elementary school, middle school, high school, and so out their adulthood with these same childlike behaviors.
Yes. Yes, that is so true. And again, it starts with the parents.
Hmm.
We have so many outside influences raising the children. I feel like we have definitely lost something.
That touch. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um,
And that respect piece, like you said, is so, so important. So the way that, I've witnessed some children speak to their parents at a young,
yeah. Yeah.
it's like, wow, you
Uh-huh.
still have teeth. Like,
Yeah, I wouldn't have my tongue in my mouth. My head
I,
wouldn't be on my head wouldn't be on my shoulders. And we say that now. Oh well, no, that's child abuse. No, no, no. I just left church, and the pastor said some of these kids need to get whooped with a switch. Yeah, some of these kids need to be disciplined. A lot of times we blame it on, oh, they have autism. No, no, no. A lot of that is behavior, and a lot of that is behavior from you as a parent that you do, and you don't know you're teaching your child, or you're passing down on your child. It can be
yes,
5 years ago. You was up using the house, cussing, drinking, doing whatever, and your child is listening to that. They're hearing that. So now they're taking that behavior and they're going to talk to adults just how you talk to people, just how you talk to your friends and your girlfriends. And y'all think it's funny, kiki, and haha. They're going to take that same behavior and go to school and speak to their peers and speak to teachers like that, because they're not going to have any respect for their peers or adults or authority, because you don't have respect for peers or adults or authority. You think someone's always attacking you instead of taking the time to actually listen. Someone's trying to teach you.
absolutely. Accountability. That accountability piece, boy, I tell you. Yes.
But if we say that, oh, you're attacking me, or or this isn't your child. Yeah, but me as the educator, I see your child more than you do. Your child is with me 8 hours, if not longer, 8 hours throughout the day, if not longer. And then when you come home, you're still not present with your child because you got to get dinner ready, you got to get baths, you're all parenting.
Yes.
You're back in work mode, and you don't take the time to decompress and enjoy your child. So therefore, child care providers, ECE owners, educators, they see your children more than you do.
This is true. This is true. And that relationship building piece, like you said, this the spending time. When I think about it, because I like to look at it from both perspectives, right? As an
Right.
educator, yes,
And
the
as a parent.
children need to have that time spent, when you get in. But then as a parent, whether you have a two-parent household or
Or one.
one-parent
Right.
household, you've worked all day, probably in an underpaying job where you weren't
Hmm.
valued, where it's really not what you're passionate about. It's just to
Hmm.
get the bills paid. Whether you bringing food in, fast food, cooked food, or what have you. Like you said, you got to make that meal preparation. If the
Hmm.
child has homework or just want to share their day,
Yeah.
you don't even have the
To listen.
capacity to really listen,
Yeah.
you know, and we tend to do what we see everybody else do, trending human nature. Just you know what I mean. So we get the phone is mostly the escape route for parents, and we may not have the time. What I've witnessed is we or parents don't have the time to listen to their children, but they have time to sit
To
on
listen to a
TikTok.
video on social media. Yeah. You got time. You got time to watch 5 reels, but you don't have 5 minutes to listen to your child talk about their day or show you what they learned or show you how they could have done better.
Absolutely.
Hmm.
Absolutely. And I think that, like you said, accountability plays a big role. And it's difficult. I mean, it's so many times when I've wanted to have conversations with parents, respectfully, of course, but, you got to pick and choose your battles because everybody is not receptive. And like you said, when you do start to express these things, they get in defense mode
Yeah.
because no one wants to be told that they're
About their
not
child.
a good
Hmm.
parent or
Hmm.
what they need to be doing with their child. Even though they trust and respect you to care for them, you could do that. But don't tell me nothing.
About raising my child.
Right,
Yeah.
right. So, what do you see as the biggest mental health challenges families are facing today? I know we talked about, you know,
I'm gonna say the in denial part. People realizing that using mental health as a trend when it's not really a trend, it's an actual thing, and being able to
mm,
have a conversation. If you're having these thoughts, if parents feel like they're less than, if children feel like they're less than, you need to have these uncomfortable conversations with your children. Um, whether your child can talk or not, they can tell you what's going on with them if you read their body language, if you feel them. If you're really in present and engaged with your child, you'll know if something is off. Um, don't let any doctors just diagnose them with medicine and give them meds or label them like, you need to take a deep dive in what's going on and be present. That means
yeah,
you gotta take time off work, take time off work. But you need to be present. You have to be as an adult and as a parent. I'm not a parent, but as an adult and an educator, you have to be fully aware of yourself before you can be fully aware to parent or to educate any child. So if you're not there for yourself, if you don't love on yourself and you don't pour into yourself, you can't pour into your child. It's just going to be a continuous cycle of an overflow of empty cups because you didn't gave 10 hours throughout your day at your job. You come home and you don't have the energy or capacity. So now you need to take time to decompress. So take 5 or 10 minutes, deep breathe. Have your child do it with you. Have your partner do it with you. Sit there and
yes.
meditate. Sit there and breathe. Sit there and just sit in stillness and silence. It'll allow you to let everything else in your daily world be gone and focus on the now and focus on what's in front of you. And what's in front of you is this relationship connection with yourself and this relationship connection with your child. That child has to be here. You chose to be an adult, make some adult grown up moves, lay down, and bring that child into this world. So therefore, whatever negativity that you're carrying, your child does not they shouldn't reap. You should fix that before you try to speak life into your child. You gotta learn how to speak life into you as an adult. And if you don't, have people around you that can speak life into you, pour into you. Make sure you have a strong circle that pours into you and pours life into you so that you can take the energy and pour into your child.
Wow, that's powerful. Yeah, that's
And people
powerful.
try to decipher, oh, well, you talking about mental health, all that plays a part when it comes to ECE, child care, childhood,
Yes.
growth. Mental health is not a trend, it's not a word. Mental health is being able to have knowing your mental capacity and knowing your levels from zero to 10, whether it's good or bad, and being able to have conversations about it, or being able to meet yourself where you're at and then meet others where they're at.
Where they're at. Yes, that's powerful. And that's what I mean when I say being open to having those conversations, because you first have to be open to who you are and where you are as an individual before you can
Exactly.
receive, you know what I
Exactly.
mean? Feedback like that. That's powerful.
Yeah.
Thank you for sharing that.
No problem. Thank you.
Yes. So when children are struggling with whether it's emotions or behaviors, as we just shared, it can be overwhelming, not just for them, but for the adults,
Right.
parents, educators. What are some simple approaches parents and educators can lean on to support children without burning themselves out? And this is a heavy topic for me as an educator because there are times when,
You want to throw in the towel?
yeah, yeah, it's
Mhm.
hard
I got
because you trying to connect with the parent first,
you.
because we can implement so many different strategies, right? That we learn because we're constantly learning, because things are constantly changing.
Right.
But if the parent, you put in all this work,
Doesn't.
yeah, and then the parent is like on a totally different page, how do we be impactful, effective in the child's life?
I'm gonna say in that manner, just continue doing what you're doing because you know what you have been doing thus far is making progress with a child. Um, but I mean, you're gonna have to sit down. I mean, like you said, you try to have to sit down and have a conversation with them. But like, if you see continuously see it, then maybe your child care center isn't the best for them. Maybe they need to find elsewhere because you're continually pouring into this child. You're seeing growth, but then you're seeing a pushback when they go home and come back and they learn behaviors at home, or they if that's the case, then the parent needs to watch the child and be the child carer. You sent this child here for a reason.
Right.
You're putting trust in my organization. You're putting trust in my staff to not just watch it and babysit the child, but I'm teaching the child. I'm educating the child. I'm teaching the child how to potty train, how to do certain things, certain things that help support them. As a parent and adult, you would want to follow those same strategies because you're going to the expert. They're coming to you as the expert. So therefore, to make it your parenting lifestyle easier and smoother, why not take the strategies and techniques that are working and apply them? That means you might have to readjust. Means you might have to adapt and
Right.
change your frame of mind and rechange your thought process. And rechange that framework that okay, I'm the parent. I don't know it all. I'm not gonna have all the answers. It is gonna take a village to raise my children and my child and my family. It's not just gonna take me, my immediate family, but it's gonna take my family that isn't blood to help me because those individuals they want to pour into me. They want to pour into my child. And they might actually know a little more than me. So sometimes just shutting up and listening and taking note and taking the game for what it is, it can be supportive. But if you're in denial and naive and you think, oh, your way is the only way, then your child is going to be lost and confused because you're teaching that child that authority doesn't matter. You're teaching that child that only there's only one way of learning. When no, every child has a different learning style. Every adult has a different learning style. So
Right.
you have to be able to know your learning style as a parent, know your parenting style, and know the style of your child, so that however the educator is teaching to that child, you can do the same things and implement the same things at home. But it
Yes.
starts with the parent. You can't ever blame the child. That's why I stepped away from education because it's never the children. It's always the adults. I got burnt out from the adults, unfortunately.
Yes. Yes. It can be very challenging. Um, and then, another thing that I find challenging when it comes to um, children's behavior is the food.
Mm,
We hear a lot about the food and how it
yeah,
relates to behaviors, like the
yeah.
sugars, the
Mm.
dyes, the preservatives that they add to the foods. What is your perspective on how diet plays a role in children's behavior? I mean, I get kids
So,
coming in with them little cheese balls,
hmm
Takis,
hmm
Doritos.
yeah,
They wouldn't come in the classroom without them.
we buy what we can afford or what we can get in bulk at a cheaper price.
Mm.
Um, Even though if you do go to a Trader Joe's or a Sprouts or Whole Foods, it's not that expensive, but they're not that far off. Um, I'm not a dietitian, I'm not a doctor, but I've seen it working with all walks of life, and I've worked with K all the way through 85. You can't, not too many people, especially at my age, can say that they worked with children from kindergarten all the way to age 85. And I've seen behaviors. So there's a lot of dye in American food. There's a lot of salt and sodium and sugar in our food. And I'm at fault with it because sugar is my weakness, and I see it in myself. My behavior change, my mood changes. I get irritated or I get happy and excited. When we feed these children certain foods, their behavior is going to change. I'm not saying it creates autism, but it creates characteristics that spark. For instance, you might have a child that might eat Pop Tarts or might eat candy and they get aggressive, or they're depressed, or their anxiety kicks in, or they're extra sensory and they start doing stuff and fidgeting and they're twitching and moving around. Kind of more than likely the food that you're feeding them. You're feeding them processed food. You're feeding them unhealthy or non-organic food. I mean, there's studies to show and there's conversations to show that American food and food out of the country isn't as healthy. But if you grow your food, if you eat more vegetables and eat more fruit, that is naturally grown, there's a bunch of farmers markets, there's a bunch of gardens. So I don't want to keep hearing excuses that there isn't that because there's people that have fresh gardens everywhere all over the world. People have natural fruits. Just have to take the time and want to buy the food and clean it and organize it
Yes.
and get your child involved. Teach them how to chop up fruit and vegetables, or teach them how to clean vegetables and fruit properly with baking soda and vinegar and water. Teach them how to garden. Good gardening is very therapeutic and it
Yes.
teaches them life skills, teaches them critical thinking, but you're teaching them how to eat healthy. You're teaching them on what healthy eating is. Yeah, everything might not taste as fresh because we use a bunch of seasoning and stuff, but there's ways to make fresh food taste good. It just might take a little longer. You have to be willing to put that work in if you want better for your child and better for yourself.
I agree. I agree. Yeah, and I, like I said, I know that is a challenge for myself because I'm big on wellness, and we do have a garden, and I
Okay.
was so excited about the garden, Shannon. Oh, the kids, the parents, you come anytime you want. We had we had Swiss chard, kale, squash,
Yeah.
cucumbers. We had herbs, and the kids would pick the vegetables, come out to the garden, pick the vegetables, and they would come back to school, especially our school ages. And I'd be like, "Well, how'd you eat the vegetables? And mommy cook? Oh, mommy, they're still in the car. What? Yeah, we in Tampa, Florida. It's 100 degrees. You left the
Yeah.
herbs and the vegetables in the car. Yeah, so and then I may ask, hey, did you stir fry them vegetables up? How did you prepare them or whatever? Because it's important, I think, too, as you said, to like follow through. The
Yeah.
children have planted the seeds, they've watched it grow, they nourish the
Yeah.
vegetables, and then, you farm to table. You bring it, you show
Yeah.
them how the process
hmm
goes, and then they
hmm
consume it. But for you to just leave it,
Leave it in the car and that's very inconsiderate. And also, if you go to the grocery store and spend your hard-earned money, you wouldn't leave your groceries in the car. You wouldn't leave your produce in the car. You might yell, cuss, and rage if your child or someone left that in the car. You wouldn't do that. So you're getting something for free that you don't have to pay a dime from. That's grown from the earth. Take advantage of that. Teach your child. This is a time that you are present and you're being present while you're present. You're teaching your child, you're working with your child, you're growing cognitively within yourself and for your child. You're showing them that there are healthy ways to walk and eat. And when you do those things, you actually live longer.
yes, this is true. This is true. Definitely. Definitely teaches culture, I think, too.
And it teaches all types of culture, not just one culture. It teaches, you can learn different recipes from different cultures. You can learn how people prepare meals. Um, you can learn, who's in the kitchen, who's not in the kitchen in certain cultures. You can learn certain language, certain tones, certain eye contact There's a lot to learn about culture when you're a culturally responsive individual.
Yes, I agree. I agree. Uh, so as we're talking about food and behavior, early
Hmm.
childhood programs in schools
Hmm.
is where families really turn to for help when they are having problems with their child's developmental behavior. From your experience, what does a truly inclusive, supportive classroom look and feel like day to day?
So it looks like building a rapport and knowing all your children's names, knowing your family's names, parents' names. I'm not saying a full last name, but know their names. Create handshakes with all your students. Create something fun and engaging. A lot of classrooms to be inviting, but also know what they like. So that let's say they like Spider-Man and Powerpuff Girls, you can get posters that they can look up like, oh, okay, that no, they're thinking about me. Children might not say it, but they know
Mm,
when the teacher is thinks about them. So if you have 10 to 15 kids, it's not going to cost that much. You go to five and below, or go to a dollar store and get something that they like that they can use in class. Whether it's something for them to calm down, when sensory, whether it's a poster, whether it's a healthy snack, a picture, something of them. You're bringing your classroom, but you're bringing the children into the classroom. You're allowing it to be their safe space, their comfort space. Because at the end of the day, we don't know what these children deal with when they go home. We don't know what their life is that they go home. So when they come in our classroom and come in our child care center, this is their safe haven. This is their home away from home. So we have to make this safe and secure for them while they're here, so that they can want to come back, because when they get older and they get our age and they're able to vocalize and get in middle school and high school and they can talk,
mm-hmm.
and they don't have you as a teacher they don't have a rapport with you, and your classroom isn't inviting, they're probably going to come to class. And I don't blame them, because I'm not coming to class if my teacher doesn't get me, understand me, they don't know my learning style, they don't build a rapport with me. I'm not going to your class. I'm gonna go find something else to do. I'm gonna go to another teacher's class, someone who actually cares, because that shows you don't care. And if you don't have the capacity to build a rapport and take the time, and it's too much, you shouldn't be a teacher. You're in the wrong job. You're in the wrong field. You should work in education. You should not work in childcare. You're in the wrong field if you don't have time to build a rapport with your children, to know their learning style, to know the behavior style, know the foods they like. That's all you're getting paid for to do, is to comfort that child and provide safety and security for that child. You should want to do that and above and beyond. But if not, then it's time to kick rocks. This is not for you.
Yep, I agree. I
And people
agree
people are scared to have
wholeheartedly.
people are scared to have a conversation.
Yep,
You can yeah, you can pay me all the money in the world, but if I'm miserable and not happy with myself, I'm not gonna do my job properly. I'm not gonna be there for myself. So you get paid $100,000, cool. But are you making a difference? Are you changing lives?
right,
Are you
right,
shaping the minds of young adults, of children and adults and parents?
right. Yes.
And if you're
And if
not, then
it,
you're
I was going to say that.
yeah,
If you're not meeting them where they are, then what's the point of you being there? It
yeah,
is
like
your job as an educator to meet them where they are and expand on their learning. And I think that we want to do it. Most educators, it's a one-stop shop. You
yeah,
know, you want to teach the same way to everybody, and unfortunately, everybody doesn't. Each
learn the
child
same way.
they don't
Yeah,
learn the same way. You got to tap in and find out what their superpower is and how you
exactly.
can bring them in.
And if I'm being honest, I think a lot of teachers and parents don't do that because they forget what their own superpower is. They got accustomed and stuck to a system, with this so-called
Yes.
education system across the world, that they forgot what their superpower is. They forgot that they can have multiple superpowers. So can these children. If I have little Johnny and Susie over here and they want to move around and read, or they want to move around in class and walk around, as long as they're not harming nobody and being a major disruption, they can walk around in class. They can stand on the wall and do their work. That's fine. They can do their math problems on and draw them on the wall. That's fine. It'll get cleaned up. It's not that big of a deal. But if we throw a temper tantrum and we have an attitude because they're drawing on a desk, what if the texture of paper irritates them? Just saying, we don't think like that.
Mhm.
What if the texture of a pencil irritates them, but they have a marker and they can do 1 + 1 = on their desk? It can get cleaned up. It's not the end of the world. It can get painted over. That's all they're gonna do anyways. So we gotta stop, pick and choose our battles wisely, and realize everything isn't a battle. Everything shouldn't be, oh, I'm a teacher and it's my way or the highway. No, you're not. You can't manage a classroom. You can't demand respect until you show that you're here for these children.
Wow, that's
Anybody
powerful.
anybody can repeat information. Anybody can regurgitate what they read in the book. But can you be honest and be truthful and keep it 100 and keep it real? These kids that are younger, they don't have to talk. They can tell if you're real, and they can tell if you're fake and phony just by your energy, just by what you carry, just by what you bring into work. Your
Yes,
personal issues, your drama, just because you running your mouth and gossip with your colleague because you don't like the way she looked at you, they can feel that too.
yes, yes. They are very
I
receptive.
mean,
They pick up
I
on
know some kid.
everything.
I know some students that they don't play about me. So you're not going to badmouth me and talk negative and speak down on me because I know my worth and my students know my worth.
Right, because you've built that rapport. You know what I mean?
That's
That
right.
relationship, that
Yeah,
connection.
yeah,
Yes, and they don't forget that because, like you said, a lot of children don't have any other positive experiences other than what they receive from, school or certain educators in that space.
yes.
So it's important to be on point with that. I appreciate you sharing that.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Yeah, and I think too that when we talk about mental health, I love how you said it's not a trend,
It's not.
but you're hearing it so loosely now,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
um, and it's always seen as a
100%.
personal issue. Like, you know, that person has a mental problem,
Health
or
issue. Yeah,
the
yeah.
family. But I
Mm-hmm.
think it's the role of the community as a
Yeah.
whole.
Your environment. I have this saying I live by. You're not a product of your environment. You're a product of the decisions you make within an environment. And sometimes
Mm,
you don't have a choice to make a decision. Sometimes the environment makes the decision for you.
for you.
Sometimes the people around you, your parents, family included, make the decision for you. And a lot of times that decision isn't the best decision. So therefore, you can't be a product of your environment because as a child, you're new to your environment. You're still adapting to your environment. The adults usually make the decisions for you. Now they have to make the proper decisions. If they don't make the proper healthy decisions, then that's how you become a product of your environment. And having those uncomfortable conversations. And there's a lot of times this in black and brown culture, unfortunately. We're very in denial, very naive. We think that, oh no, we can take some Tylenol, take some medicine, drink a ginger ale and all the pain will go away, smoke and drink and all the pain will go away. I promise you, when you're done doing all that, after 30 minutes, the same problems you got, they're gonna be there.
Right there. Yep.
The same issues, the same battles, the same your mortgage ain't paid for, the same bills that you behind on, they're gonna be there. So why not? Let's come up with healthy, positive coping skills. Let's come up with techniques that'll work, support that'll work, provide find a community that will support you and comfort you. Um, there's resources, there's an ample amount of resources out here, depending on the state, the
Yes,
area
it is.
you're in, that can help support you, but you have to be able to want to support yourself. And if you're not mentally able, then you need someone who will be able to speak up for you and be that voice for you and advocate for you the best of your ability.
Mm, thank you.
We're cooking with fire over here now.
I'm telling you. I see. I see.
Mhm.
So, like, for behavior, like with
Mhm.
children, right? I've
Yes,
heard you
ma'am.
share with another group that when children are having, let's say, a meltdown,
Mhm.
you meet them where they are.
I do.
Talk about that.
Um, so when children have meltdowns and children have tantrums, meltdown is they're emotionally they're having a meltdown and they can't verbalize if they're vocal or if they can vocalize or not. They're not able to express their feelings. They're not able to. Their body is racing so fast, their mind is racing so fast that they're physically having a meltdown. They might flop on the ground. They might throw and scream because they can't stop their brain from moving so fast of what they're trying to say, what they're trying to get out. That their body is melting down. It's like ice cream. Put an ice cream cone in the sun, it's gonna melt. It's melting down at that cone. When you have a tantrum, you're having an outburst of anger. You're having an emotional conversation of anger that you don't want. You can't get what you want, so you're gonna be aggressive. You're gonna throw stuff. You're gonna try to get what you want. Those are two different things, and people often confuse them. So when you have a meltdown, children, because a lot of adults have them and children have them, we all have them. But when a child has a meltdown, they're trying to express and tell you, but their brain is moving too fast. or their body's moving too fast in their mind, and they're trying to slow everything down. This is why I say I take deep breaths. I take a moment. I don't. I used to, as a child, when I was a child, I used to. When your parents were like, oh, answer fast, answer. You answer too slow.
Right.
Become an educator. The last 10 to 13 years, I learned that children on the spectrum and children in general, their delay process is slow. It's at their own pace. Might be a little slower than others. It might take 10 seconds. It might take 30 seconds. It might take a minute or two. They heard you. They understood it. They just can't spit out what they're trying to say so fast because they're dealing with so much. And we as adults, we want a quick solution.
Absolutely.
You gotta be able to enjoy the process and realize that you're on that child's time. The reason you have a job because that child, because these children. You wouldn't have a job if it wasn't for these kids.
That's
Who you
right.
gonna watch? Who you gonna support? Who you gonna take care of? Air.
Right.
So those meltdowns are just them emotionally stuck and not able to regulate what they're trying to vocalize.
Mm. And what would you say about? I know you're not a doctor, but I respect your experience. And
When these patients have behaviors, these doctors come ask me, "Oh, what is this? Um, I don't feel like getting mad. Unless you're gonna pay me your salary, I'm not
I
giving no
know,
money.
I know that's right.
You need to read the notes just like I do and stop copying and pasting other people's notes and actually take time to build a
Mm.
rapport. I know it's working in this hospital. A lot of these doctors, they don't know the patients. They don't take the time to build a rapport with these
Not at
patients,
all.
or they
Yep.
come to you because you look like them, you look like the patient, and they feel like you have a better rapport because you're the same ethnicity or same sex. You're the same as that patient because they judge you already that you can relate to them. When
Right.
really, if you take the time to express and explain what's going on in layman's terms, the patients might respect you and understand. They won't have a behavior.
That's true because, like you said earlier, they can sense
Hmm.
where you are and where you're coming from, and if you really
Exactly.
care about their well-being,
Yeah,
that it's obvious. Energy meets the room before your body does.
I agree. I
Yeah.
agree.
Yeah, and I don't think people really realize that.
I like that. I'm about to write that down. Mm. I'm about to steal that from you. I like that.
It's all good. One thing I want to ask you about too. This is what I was getting ready to get into. Like anxiety. What would you
Mm,
say
mm,
about that social anxiety piece? Even, I see it with children, like, when they come in, any new environment is,
hmm.
and I think it's for everybody. We all have some
Social
sort
anxiety.
of, and yeah, anxiety when we are starting something new or around new people,
Hmm.
new environment. Sometimes with children, with the crying coming in, and over time they stop.
Yeah.
But like even with children as they grow and they're not able to get out and be social,
Hmm.
because of fear of how they may be perceived.
Right.
You know, what would you say to teachers or parents who are experiencing this with their children, where you want them to get out and be active in the world in society, but because of fears that the child may be withholding
Mhm.
and they talking about it.
I would say you got to change your teaching styles at home. Start with speaking positive affirmations to your children every day and
Mm-hmm.
yourself. If you speak life into yourself and speak life into your children, they build that confidence that they can speak life into themselves. That therefore, when they walk in a room, their presence will be felt and they can vocalize with their peers, no matter what age. They can play nice. They can have peer to peer conversations. They can play with their peers and not be aggressive. They cannot be shy and scared or fear of being looked at or being judged because their peer, or, not everyone's on the same level. But if you're a child, children are gonna be children. They're gonna have fun. They're gonna play. They're gonna conversate, or they're not. But there's you're also gonna meet that there's someone like you that you can relate to. The older we get, middle school, high school, adults, adolescent, you realize that everyone isn't meant to be your friend. Everyone isn't meant to be in your circle. Everyone isn't meant to be in your life. But if you start off at a young age and as a parent and you teach that child of be nice, be kind, be loving, and what to receive and the love to receive and the love to give off, and you put them in spaces around your friends and their kids, and they share and they speak life, that's how you build that confidence and remove that social anxiety. You have a mirror in your classroom, you mirror at home, you have a list of affirmations that you speak. When you speak affirmations, you're speaking life into yourself. You're removing that anxiety. You're removing that those negative thought processes. You're removing those negative things, negative thoughts that are racing through your mind, and you're overpowering that anxiety with confidence. You're overpowering that anxiety with your self worth. You're overpowering that anxiety with self love and understanding of who you are.
Affirming.
And at the end of the day, all people want to be affirmed, but you have to
Yes.
you have to affirm yourself before others affirm you.
Wow, listeners, let's take that in for a minute. You need to affirm yourself before others affirm you. One more time. You need to affirm yourself before others affirm you.
And that's what children as well. But it starts with the parents. Parents have to affirm their children so that they can know how to, or no, correction. Parents have to affirm themselves in front of their children so that in a positive manner so that their child can learn from that teaching style, that behavior, that okay, I can affirm myself too. I can look in the mirror and say, I'm handsome, I'm a king, I'm strong, I'm powerful. Oh, or I don't understand this right now, but it's okay for me to ask for help. I am the person who needs a little extra assistance. I am the person who needs, some extra support. I am the person who can't work alone and need to work on a team. That's okay as well. Everything doesn't have to be happy, happy, go lucky. It's okay to fail and get back up. It's okay to
Yeah.
learn from your mistakes. It's
Yeah.
okay to learn from other people's mistakes.
Yes. Yes. And I think that is a big challenge, especially in our culture, because
Yeah.
um, we always have been taught that we have to win. You know, you have to do your best. You have to be the best in the room. You know, we've always been taught that we have to go above and
Above
beyond.
and beyond. Uh-huh.
Even for men, failure is not an option. So that
Right.
can be hard on a person's mental. Let's not even talk about the ego. But
Woo.
when you talk
I agree.
about cycles, it's
Hmm.
just repetitive. It just goes
Yeah.
on and on and on. And I think that, you may have one or two seeds, three, four, in within a let's say a tribal community family
Hmm.
who may know that, hey, this isn't working. We got to break this cycle.
Cycle. Yeah. Yeah. Parents have to be willing and understanding that the cycle did not start with them. In order to break this cycle, you have to break generational curses. In order to break this cycle, you have to start back. You have to go back, have conversations. You may not be able to break it initially, but you can have that uncomfortable conversation that someone didn't have 10 years ago with your grandma, with your parents, with your parents' parents. Have the conversations and ask them what they feel like they could have done better, what they would like they wish they had as far as a resource. If they can start over to their 17-year-old self, what would they do? And take that information and move it forward to the future generations. That's how you break cycles. That's how you grow community.
Oh, I love that. I love that. I tried that too. Well, I didn't go back to. I went. One of my elders had transitioned,
Hmm.
and actually, for both of my parents, they were very secretive. The
Hmm.
generation was very
Mm.
secretive. They didn't share a
Mm.
whole lot, and I still had a
Okay.
lot of questions. It's
Yeah,
like,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
I want to know about this. I want to know about, your teenager years, and
Hmm.
was you really in a gang? They said you was a gangbanger. Is that true?
Right. Yeah, yeah.
But I went to other family members to try to
Seek
get the
answers.
answers.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, because I think it's important to be educated so that you can make changes, or then you
Hmm.
can really understand why you're the way that you are in some areas because of how you were brought up culturally,
Hmm.
because we are a product of our environment,
I agree. I agree.
right? So,
This is good.
yeah.
This is good. Yeah, this is real good. I like this. Yeah. This is a good conversation right here. I like this. Yeah. These are conversations that people need to hear but don't want to hear, or people need to hear but they're afraid to hear, especially if it's not coming from someone they know. Um, and when it comes to parents, like no one is insulting your intelligence. No one is pinpointing how you parent, but some of your parenting styles can change, possibly. Some of your parenting ways can change. Some of the thought process that you pour into your child, the music you listen to pour into your child, the grown television that you watch pour into your child, the food you eat they pour into your child. Um, all that comes with behavior. All that is behavior. At the end of the day, the act is a verb of doing something is a behavior. So if you're playing, vulgar music, if you're watching, inappropriate movies, if you're cursing and speaking negative to yourself or to your partner or whomever around your children, it's all a form of behavior. They
Yeah.
listen more than they say. They're gonna pick all that up.
Yeah.
They might use it, they might not. And the ones that don't use it, great. They're not gonna learn from that. But the ones that do use it, which is probably majority of the kids, they learn that from you.
Yes.
Like that's how kids able to curse now. They didn't learn that from waking up. They learn it from their parents and the music you listen to. Simple. I know if ways, ands, or buts about it.
That is so
Everything
true.
everything is a learned behavior. And everything isn't a negative behavior, but it's also not a positive behavior.
Right. And if there's no redirection, even when children do pick it up, because some people be like, "Oh man, I don't listen to that music." Okay, well, they may go to school and they may have heard it from somewhere else, but when
Friends
you
or
get
someone
wind
else.
of
Yeah.
it, you
Yeah.
still
You have to be aware. And
yes,
ask your children uncomfortable questions. Like, not to put my mom out there, but I love her to death. She was asked me questions about sex and about, has anyone ever touched me inappropriately? And for a long time, I'm like, what? That's weird. But I was facing demons and facing things like I was sexually abused as a child by an older lady at 8 years old. I didn't share that with nobody for 18 years, not even my mama. And she would, within those 18 years, she would ask me every day, every week. Nope, no, I'm fine, mom. Nothing happened. I'm good. And then till I came to myself, like, you know what? I can't keep running from this. I can't keep. I have to. If in order for me be the man that I say I want to be, I have to be able to speak my truth and speak my fear to speak. She didn't love
wow,
me any less. She didn't love me any less. She loved me the same, if not more.
right,
She had some questions and concerns, and she thought that she was a bad parent, but she wasn't. She did ask those questions. I just chose not to answer them.
right,
I didn't know how to because I was a child, because I was dealing with it from 8 to 24, 25. I'm 30 now. So now with the no 8 from 8 to 25, I was able to get around men that look like me that did go through the same thing I went through. And we learned it in our adulthood because we were afraid of it in our childhood. And a lot of adults that have insecurities, a lot of adults that have unhealthy behavior, a lot of adults that have temper tantrums and meltdowns are grown children. They haven't dealt with their childhood trauma. They haven't dealt with things and unanswered questions in their childhood, so they can't answer them in their adulthood. And there's no way around that. Like that, it's straight up. It's simple. You see these parents that come pick up their kid and act this and act that and curse and this and that.
yes,
That's because they haven't dealt with their childhood. They got their own childhood trauma and battles and demons that they haven't faced with, and uncomfortable conversations that they haven't had with their parents or their village. But now they're trying to put pass down this trauma onto their child's village, and we're not here for that. We're gonna stop this where it need to be stopped at, and it's time for some healing and some growth.
yes. And in order to do that, we have to learn to sit with ourselves. And people don't want to do that. They do not want to sit with themselves.
I've been sitting still for the most part for the last 4.5 months with myself. Going through things for myself. No, not chasing the women. I've been abstinent, not drinking. I'm eating healthier, back in the gym, and I'm doing those for myself so that when it is time for me to get to where I need to be on the next level, I'm prepared. And people are afraid to do that. People try to cover and comfort themselves with momentarily and temporary pleasure. And at the end of the day, you can have all this pleasure you want, but when it's time to raise a family and raise these children and show that you're not gonna have nothing for it because you've been pouring into temporary pleasures instead of taking time to sit still and be still.
Yes, yes, I agree. I agree. I think that's so important to be in that space of knowing that when it's time
Hmm.
to really go within and pull back and do that self work. Face
Yes,
those
ma'am. And
demons in order to work through, in order to
yeah,
get to the next level.
I
You know,
agree.
I think people think they're gonna miss something.
So my a friend of mine, she would say, it's called FOMO. You have the fear of missing out. And I feel like I had that for a while, but now
Wow, I like that.
I'm learning that having FOMO, having the fear of missing out, you're not missing out on nothing if it's not meant for you. If you're
Mm,
not actually called to this party, you're called to go here, you ain't missing out on nothing. Like that stuff ain't outside ain't going nowhere. Having fun ain't going nowhere. Um, Now, the older we get, it's time to work on ourselves so we can retire early, so we can enjoy the fruits of our labor. We don't have to be 60 and 70 years old trying to retire. We can retire at 40 and 50 and 30. Like,
Exactly.
there's a whole lot of money out here. We just got to be able to go find it or create it. It's a whole lot of resources out here. We just have to be able to go find it and create it and provide it.
Absolutely. And if you yourself struggle with that, get you around your village.
Come on.
Because that's another thing I think that's missing. That working together, it's the
That
I.
collaboration piece. That collaboration piece.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Be It's a quote I live by. If you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together.
I
The
like
further you
that.
go, you'll be like this. This you're individuals. But if you come like this, it's a unity. You're together. You work as one. Everyone can put their input in. Everyone can say their own piece. But you're gonna work when it's time to go. You're gonna go together. But if you like this, you got someone going here, someone going there, someone going there. You're not working as a team. You're not working as a unit. You're focused on you. You're not focused on everyone around you. When you're focused on the three over there, one of them is focused on you. One of them is focused on the next person. Each of you are focused on each other. So when you come together, you can focus as one whole.
Yes, absolutely. I love that. I love that. I appreciate this, Shannon. I think
Thank
this
you,
was
thank you.
a needed conversation for me as well as an educator. Sometimes you need those little reminders to remind you as to why um, you got into this work. I know for me,
Mhm.
I am very passionate about what I do as an educator. But like you
Yes,
said,
ma'am.
it's never the children.
Children. Hmm.
It's always that connection with the parents,
Hmm.
and sometimes it could be tiresome to try to get them to see through a different lens,
Yeah, yeah, I agree.
So I really
Yeah,
appreciate your insight.
most definitely.
If there's one thing that you can inspire change for parents, teachers, children as a whole, what would that be?
Listen to learn rather than listen to give your input. Um,
Mm,
don't push away the help and support that's trying to provide for you. Don't push away the village that is in front of you. Because if you continue doing that, you won't have a village. You're gonna be out here on your own, and it's lonely out here when you by yourself. Um, you want to break your generational curses. You want your children to live a more fruitful, healthier, positive fruition life than you. You have to be willing to collaborate and work together as a unit, not as an individual. And if you're a single parent, you can find that unit. If you're even if you're a couples, there's still a unit in the village for you as well. You don't have to do it alone. Don't be afraid to ask questions. Closed mouths don't get fed.
I know that's right. I know that's right. Well,
Uh,
thank you,
thank you very
Shannon.
much. Yes, ma'am. Thank you
Thanks for
very much. I
sharing your
appreciate you.
experience, your wisdom. Conversations like this, like I said, reminds us that we're not alone in this.
Right.
We're a community, and whether we're parents, educators, or just
Mhm.
people who care for children,
Yes, ma'am.
this is amazing. This has been great
Appreciate you. Thank you. Thank you.
for
Well,
sure.
yeah, enjoy the rest of your evening, and we'll definitely talk soon.
Absolutely, you as
All right.
well.
Bye bye.
Thank you. To everyone listening, this is a space where diversity and innovation are created. If you'd like to be a guest or collaborate, I'd love to hear from you. Email me at AnnetteE05@gmail.com, or you could message me on Instagram at TrueGoddess14. Let's keep planting seeds, building relationships, knowledge, and understanding. Until next time, keep evolving.